The Story of Josanna. By Eric Hua. Chapter 14, King and Queen. Josanna and Voiceover were now leaving Wetanwa on their mounts, along with a small squad of soldiers from the city. Together they traversed the forest during the day in hopes to make it to Clarion before nightfall. While their horses were side by side, Josanna took the chance to ask the king some questions that had been on her mind.
King Voiceover, there is something I have been meaning to ask.
And what's that?
I heard from someone that you and Queen Clarion were close friends. Is that true?
That is correct.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened to cause you two to become enemies and have the cities turn on one another?
Before we met in our young adult years, Clarion and I lived at opposite ends of the forest. The situation wasn't too different from what you are experiencing now. The light-skinned and dark-skinned people lived separate and harbored hatred against the other. That was how I was brought up, to reject everything the light-skinned people believed. However, that all changed when I met Clarion.
No way. This has to be some made-up fairy tale story.
And yet what I tell you is true. We met on the battlefield and fought each other with our full strength.
Wait! Queen Clarion could fight? I like her even more now.
Yes, she was quite the warrior. In fact, she is the only person to defeat me in combat.
Hey! You lost to me too!
That didn't count. I was going easy on you.
You were not! Quit lying!
Anyways, after our battle we were both injured without any of our comrades around. We were forced to work together if we wanted to escape the forest alive. It was through that experience that we learned much about each other and why our cities acted the way they did.
You two were falling in love with one another.
That began a journey of creating a nation where both our people could come together and live as one. I won't bore you with all the details, but after much struggle and adversity, we successfully created a city where regardless of whether you were light-skinned or dark-skinned, you would be accepted into our walls. This city would be led by both me and Clarion.
Then what happened?
Of course, that didn't last, and it was because Clarion and I lost someone dear to our hearts. It tore us apart and caused us to fight amongst each other. And eventually, over time, the war within us manifested into the war between our people. Once again, the dark-skinned and light-skinned people separated, but this time with greater hatred than before. Clarion became the Queen of Clarion and I, the King of Wetanwa.
I'm sorry you had to go through all that.
I didn't see it for a long time, but I realized it was my fault. If only I had been a better leader for my people and to those who were close to me, this wouldn't have happened. Some king I turned out to be.
A bad king never swallows his pride and thinks only of himself. You are the exact opposite of that. You have been honest about your mistakes and you are taking actions with the consideration of your people and those you deeply care for. I believe that is the true embodiment of a great king.
Thank you, Josanna. Your words mean a lot.
I do have one more question.
What is it?
You mentioned you and Clarion lost someone important in your lives. Who was this person?
Her name was...
Suddenly Voiceover had a massive headache and nearly fell off his mount. Josanna called for the other soldiers' attention and they agreed to stop and rest to allow the king to regain his strength. Voiceover sat down on a rock while Josanna gave him some water. He immediately felt refreshed after rehydrating, but as he was about to stand up, he sensed someone was approaching their direction. The four soldiers and Josanna drew out their weapons, preparing themselves for battle. Then out of the shadows stepped out a familiar foe that Josanna was dreading to see. Jezebel.